was looking forward to getting a Switch 2, but it costs more than my Xbox did. Yeah. I I feel like it may also actually it might cost just as much as the PS5. Speaking of Nintendo Switch, heard that they are taking advantage of their racing game monopoly and setting a trend for even crazier starting prices. Yep. Yep. Mario Kart World is going to be $79.99 USD, which I guess means here in Canada it's going to be like $110 for the game. So like, and then the console itself is going to be around 630 probably. So like, by the time you take that base price, add our tax to it, you're like paying almost $1,000 to get the Switch 2 and at least one or two games. Yeah, $110 for a game is insane. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 100% it is. I mean, we've already been paying $90 here for a couple of years. New games here are already $90. Um, yeah, it's not fun. If you thought consoles were expensive now, if you are in America, just wait, you'll be terrified. Yeah, I seen that they delayed the freaking pre-orders. Oh my gosh. I'm fine with paying $100 for a good game, not what has been being pushed out. I mean, fair. Fair. I definitely feel like I got my money's worth out of Baldur's Gate. And mind you, we paid about $200 for Baldur's Gate technically because we had to buy two. We had to buy two copies in order for Jello and I to play together. Like, but I feel like we got our money's worth. Like, he has 700 hours in the game, and I have like 500. 500, I think. However, okay, game companies have cut their costs a lot. Okay, if because they don't really make that many physical copies anymore. So if you think about how much money they've cut by not having to produce physical games anymore, paying for the artwork of the cover, paying for the cases to be produced, paying for the CD to be made, and whatever, you would like. I'm like, okay, so if you're cutting that much money out of your cost, why are the gamers still being charged more money? Not including like all the subscription stuff they have now. And yet the game cost hasn't gone down, it's gone up. So like, hello? Plus another $100 for a small DLC. Um I miss physical copies. Just something so satisfying. Yeah, I do too. It was nice having like a little collection on like a shelf or something that you could display. Not that I have like room for that, but it would be nice. Not to mention most of the time the game doesn't actually exist on the disc. That was one thing I seen about the Nintendo Switch games apparently. Like the Nintendo Switch 2 games. I seen someone pointing out that it's not even on the cartridge. Games small enough will be on the cartridge. The game keys are replacing download codes. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I mean I didn't see any of that mentioned in the Nintendo Direct. I guess it was stuff that you had to look up later or something. Pay us $100 just to rent our game. Almost. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nintendo Switch 2. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. Farewell physical media. some Nintendo Switch 2 games aren't on the cart. Okay, yeah, so it says some. Good thing that Nintendo Switch 2 comes with a base of 256 gigabytes of internal storage. Wow, that's not a lot. That's not a lot of space. So instead, so-called game key cards will simply contain a key that you will use to download the game. After it's downloaded, you can play the game by inserting the game key card into your system and starting it up like a standard physical game card. Huh? So the cartridge doesn't have a game on it, it just has a game key that you then have to connect to the internet and download. So if you don't have internet, you can't. What? An internet connection is only required when you launch the game for the first time. After this, the game can be started even without an internet connection. However, like regular physical software, the game key card must be inserted into the system in order to play the game. Okay. I'm confused. Why is it like this? This makes no sense. Why not just have the game on the card? What? What? Not actually owning the game, I think, is the biggest crime ever. Literally. Like, sometimes I'm scared because I'm like, man, I've spent probably thousands on Steam, and at any moment it could just go boop, bye, all gone, all gone. I still remember the day my brother bought a physical copy of FIFA 2024 only to find out that there was no disc in the box. Wow. Like, okay, see, at that point, I feel like they're just justifying keeping game prices up because they're like, "Oh, well, we're still paying for the game friggin' box. We're still producing game boxes." Yeah, all you're putting in the game box though is a freaking piece of paper. Like, just don't bother then. We rather pay less. I I don't know. I feel like digital games should cost less than the physical media. Like, because it doesn't make sense to me. Size limitation that comes with a cartridge is why they have the downloads. I mean, I guess true, but still. Still. Bet that bullshit is only still around so they could still sell it to brick and mortar. That's also true. Like, they could be just trying to keep game stores um alive. But I don't know. I don't know. I honestly think digital games should cost less. I and I don't want to buy a freaking box with a paper in it. Box with a paper. That's like just buying an Amazon box with a picture of the item inside that you're gonna get. Like, what's the point? What's the point? To be totally fair, SNES and Nintendo 64 games would go up to $90 depending on the game, so it's not like we've never paid a ton for games and retailers are supposedly going to be selling them for less. It's just the MSRP. I want the satisfaction of opening it, putting it in the console, and throwing it across the room when I rage quit. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wow. Anyways, let's learn from beat 'em up. Or at least I'm going to be learning what all the, I guess, negative sides of the Nintendo Switch 2 are. Because I'll be honest, like, when I watched the Nintendo Direct, I went into it with I wasn't really caring if I got the Nintendo Switch 2, really. I wasn't planning on getting it, and then I watched it and I was like, "Oh, freaking hell, now I kind of want it." So, maybe I'll change. Well, I mean, I have changed my mind again because I'm not paying like $1,000. So, yeah, let's go. Let's see what he has to say.
This thing is expensive, and I don't just mean the Switch 2 console, I mean everything around it in its ecosystem. Look, it's still ground zero. I'm still on the high. I watched the Direct today. No
A Legend of Zelda
way!
game.
I'm already losing my voice from how much I've been screaming and talking and being excited. And look, ultimately, I think it's all a net positive. Ultimately, it's the most exciting thing I've experienced in my natural born life.
Fair.
You know, and that has at least a couple of weeks to live in my heart
It
until my
hyped
son
me
is
up pretty
born,
good.
and then I'm assuming that might take its place. But until then, there is like a dark cloud that hung over the whole event, and I noticed it while I was watching. Like, there was so
Console itself isn't that expensive. Well, see, when I think 400 and whatever, $50, okay? That's not that expensive, okay? But then you transfer that to Canadian, which then it's going to be $630. That's a lot. And people are comparing it to when the first Nintendo Switch came out. So the Nintendo Switch 2 is 420, I think, base or something. 400, 450, I don't know. But the Nintendo Switch when it came out in US dollars was $299. So it is a pretty big price difference. Like over $100 price difference. Uh the biggest price difference I guess being the games. So yeah. I get why people are complaining. Paying a lot for a console I think is fine. You only need the one to play games, but the price of games is the issue. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Teagle. If you pay a lot for the console, fine, but then if you're also paying like $100 or more per game, then it gets to be a lot.
many cool things happening. I was able to keep staying focused and ping off the high, but there were definitely multiple moments where I kind of had to just look in the camera and wince and wonder what I was hearing.
Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour will launch as a paid digital game on the same day as Nintendo Switch 2. So please check it out if you're interested.
Hold on a second. I never heard that. Wait, are you telling me you have to pay for the tutorial? Is that literally what that game is? Is that literally a tutorial game and you have to pay for it? Nintendo Switch 2 paid tutorial. Nintendo expects you to pay for its Switch 2 Welcome Tour user guide. It was revealed today that the Nintendo Switch 2 will launch alongside a paid app which teaches you all about the new console. Why would I pay to learn about the console? What? What? Um. Okay. Like, it looks cool. Hold on. How much? I need to know how much this is gonna cost. Welcome to a price has been confirmed. Downside is that it won't be free, as we'd anticipate while watching the debut trailer. Instead, it'll be a paid experience. Yippee! A paid tutorial on how to use the Nintendo Switch. 990 yen. So 6 USD. I honestly was expecting it to be more than that, but I'm still not paying $6 to learn how to use your console. hell? What the hell? Oh my god. And you know what the stupid thing is? Is I bet people will buy it. People will buy it. 100%.
Paid? I think really the first time my ears picked up in this whole event was that pack-in game. That's not actually a pack-in game. That was the first part that was a little strange. This game seems to be like you're just walking around a model of a Nintendo Switch 2 and you can hear some information about it and how the thing works, and great, you know? An instructional pamphlet, which, you know, instructional pamphlet's something you usually pick up for free on the way out of AAA after they inspect your car, you know? Just a little bit of information on what's going on. But if I was walking out of AAA and I got yelled at to pay $10 for it, I'd say, okay, you have it back. I don't need to learn. Pay?
Now, I'd like to share some more information regarding Nintendo.
What is, when I saw it, I was legitimately excited. Even though it wasn't anything super fun looking, just the idea of having a pack-in game again, like with the Wii. But no, they're charging for it. We don't know the price, but it's a paid app. So you would assume, I don't know, what, like $10? You would hope nothing more than that. But that was kind of the start of the gears turning on just a bunch of weird money things that came about in this event. The second other big one was Mario Kart World is $80. Now look, I want to talk about this stuff because it's an elephant in the room. As exciting as everything is, I don't want to breeze past this. I actually want to dive in and kind of break it down and tell you how I feel about it. So Mario Kart World being $80. I think we need to pump the brakes on this one just a little, because we see Donkey Kong, and I'm not justifying it, but let me give some hypotheses, because I'm not happy with 80 unless there's a big unless. We've seen Donkey Kong's price is 70. That's a brand new game that looks as grand a scope as anything Nintendo does usually, like Mario Odyssey or Forgotten Land or these other games that are usually 60. And if the price jump now is expected to go up to 70, I mean, that's in line with the rest of the industry. Nintendo already tried it out with Tears of the Kingdom. I think a lot of us were expecting that. So seeing 70, okay. But why 80? My one working theory is I'm just really hoping this is the case. Let's not judge it too quickly, because what if they, with the $80, promise to give us 2, 3, 4 years or reoccurring support or a live service?
Yeah, like if they charge the $80, but then they keep updating the game, maybe adding new characters, adding new maps and stuff. But we all know that they will probably do that, but then charge you for it. That's what I expect to happen. I don't trust it. They'll charge you $80, and then they'll come out with a DLC pack down the road that they'll charge you for to have some extra characters and maps added. That's what I expect. But it would be nice if instead they do charge the $80 and then add that stuff in for no extra charge, because they charged $80 baseline. If I had known it was gonna be $80, or I would have signed up for the bundle pre-order notification. I miss the days of camping outside of GameStop for a midnight release of a $30 game that I pre-ordered, and I actually got something physical, like a poster for pre-ordering it. Yeah, they used to have all kinds of pre-order events. I think we watched a video once where they showed a bunch of stuff they used to do for pre-order events, like, and especially like Call of Poop and whatever. It was pretty cool. That used to be like big parties and everything, and now there's nothing. Now it's nothing. I did sign up for notifications from Best Buy, so I might be able to snag a bundle. That all now comes down to if the new tariffs bump up the price. I hope you can snatch up a bundle. Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna sell out quick. I know when the Nintendo Switch, the first one dropped, man, it was hard to get one.
type thing where they're constantly adding new characters, new tracks, and all of that DLC is free. Everything
then
they
it
add
wouldn't
to the
make
game is free. Any improvements, any changes, any extra content, this whole
then the
world
$80 wouldn't
concept
be
of
too
something
bad.
grander than normal. What if all of that is free? And
Yeah,
in the
what
end, we
if?
end up getting an immense amount of content, and it makes it worth it in a way. I think that is the only way, in my mind right now, I can see $80. Like, if we get this, and I'm not even talking about, like, skins or battle passes or anything like that. Like, those are free. Those are free off the rip, Nintendo. You know that. But if we get this, and then later they offer DLC that's paid, I'm out. Like,
I won't be
I don't
surprised.
really know what could
How
justify this.
How many of you... how do I determine this? One in chat... if you think they'll charge $80 and then also charge for DLC packs. one. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think is gonna happen. Imagine if they actually gave all that stuff for free. Pigs might start to fly.
My mind. Otherwise, we're in a slippery slope here, and if Nintendo do this with no real good reason, it's really just opening up the floodgates for other game companies and developers across the board to do the same, and I really don't want that. So I understand everybody's hesitation. I just think we need to find out more about it, but if it ends up being just how it looks right now, that's not good. So that was the second thing. Then we had the enhanced editions of games. There was conversation leading up to this. What were they going to do with games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom? Are they going to utilize this new hardware? And it seems like yes.
Breath of the Wild.
And you got to pay for it. There is an additional add-on fee to upgrade to the enhanced version if you already have the base version, which tells me if you're buying it from scratch, it's probably going to cost more. It's going to be the base game plus whatever it costs to enhance it. They have this page up, free updates for select.
Okay, how did I watch the Nintendo Direct and miss all this friggin' shit? It's because I listened to it at work. That's why. Wow! See, when I was listening to this part, I thought that if you already owned it, you could just download the upgraded version. But no, you have to pay for the upgraded. Why would I? I wonder how much it will cost, though. I mean, like, depending on how much the cost is, I would do it. But if I'm paying another, like, $30, $40, $50 just to get an upgraded version of a game that I already have, I don't like that. I don't like that idea.
Like Switch games, so some are free. Super Mario Odyssey, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, ARMS, Super Mario 3D World. Now, I don't know what they mean by free updates, but it says improved playability. So in my mind, this means better frame rates, better visuals, 4K, 60, 120 frames, all of that. We have Scarlet and Violet down here, so we might finally see Scarlet and Violet get a free update. And good.
Okay.
There's no shot they can release those games as bad as they were and then charge you to fix them. That would be nuts. So that's free.
It wouldn't surprise me, though.
We can hopefully make it look like Pokemon ZNA in the trailer. Really great frame rate. So why are they charging for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and other games that are enhanced? Well, to me, it seems like all those games offered something extra. They were switched to enhanced with extra content on top of being better performing. I can't remember exactly offhand, but Breath of the Wild offered the weird app integration. GPS, I don't know what else it added. But Kirby added a whole extra level. Jamboree added a bunch of extra content. So paying for those enhances makes sense. And I think it makes even more sense that I can't really remember Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's enhanced offhand. Those are actually included in Nintendo Switch Online. So if you're already paying for Nintendo Switch Online, you'll get Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for free in that umbrella. That's another thing which is a little better, I guess. So if they're adding in actual content to the point where it's almost like DLC and it has a visual upgrade, it's called an enhanced and they charge you. If they're just going to boost the frame rates and visuals and leave the game pretty much untouched other than that, It's free,
Okay,
and
I
it's an
see.
update that you can get just by putting in the game. So
I
I think
see.
that is a little better. You know, I don't think anyone's really complaining too much about these enhanced versions. I was hoping they would be all free, but I also didn't expect a lot of them to have extra content. So that does make sense to me. The other thing that is tripping people out is the price of the console, and then you add on the accessories. So the Switch 2 for $450 comes with 2 Joy-Cons, a grip, the straps, the dock, the ultra speed HDMI cable, and then the AC adapter. And then all of that is $450.
For $450, you should get a case with it at the very least. Yeah. Yeah, true. You should get some like protective wear. But also, I don't like how they word the Joy-Con, okay? They say you get 2 Joy-Cons. But really, you're kind of technically just getting 1 controller. Because don't most of the games you have to have both of the Joy-Cons left and right put together to be able to play? Like most of the games. So technically, you're getting only 1 controller. That used to confuse that. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. But that used to confuse the hell out of me when they were like, oh yeah, you're getting 2 Joy-Cons. And I'm like, no, I'm getting 1 controller. Oh yeah, like a carrying case. Yeah, true. True, because you can play it handheld. It should. Just like a very basic carrying case.
$50. The extra things you can get are like a Pro controller, which is $80. And then you can get extra Joy-Cons. Obviously, you don't really need to if you get the pair that comes with it. You can get a Joy-Con 2 charging grip, which I guess you don't really need, but this is something that you can get, a charging grip. And then the camera. If you want to say, like, you want the Switch 2 experience on launch,
wow,
I guess you don't really need any of this other than the camera. Like, it's the new gimmick, and I think a lot of people are going to be interested in picking this up. So let's say you want to get the bundle version with Mario Kart. You're at $500 plus tax in US. With the camera, you're at $550, which is almost double what the original Switch cost. You want to start adding in any extra games, you're getting pretty up there, close to $700, $800.
Yep.
And that's before you get a case or anything like that, a grip or whatever it is that you need. So clearly more expensive, which is already tripping a lot of people up. To justify this, I guess, I kind of figured this console would cost $400. I always figured it would cost more than the original Switch, because it's supposed to be a big upgrade, bigger and better,
if
right?
they're
So
upgrading everything, it makes sense.
Price. That just doesn't really compute. People are going to look at it and be like, oh, it's the same price. Oh, actually, it's cheaper than the Switch one. So is it worse? You know, it has to be more expensive. I figured $400. They went with $450 for like the base. And I think that's a good...
Oh yeah, doggo. This console here in Canada is going to be base price. I think they said like $629.99. Yup. Yep.
Good price considering what they're offering. We're getting 4K, 120 frames, 1080p screen, HDR, quality build, magnetic Joy-Cons. You know the thing's going to feel like a quality product when you get it, and the internals are clear.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Take me out. Take me out. Yeah, it's basically going to cost as much as the PlayStation 5. But like, oh, like it has upgrades and everything, so it looks really good. Like, it looks like it's actually an up-to-date console. My biggest problem isn't even the console price itself. My problem is the price of the freaking games.
Clearly there because it can play games like Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy VII Remake. I know handheld PCs I've tried have struggled to run Cyberpunk, and this console's shipping with it. Oh, and Elden Ring. So clearly they've utilized that money, and like the Steam Deck is about the same price, and this seems like it can do what the Steam Deck can do, plus all its wacky gimmicks, plus it has the good games, you know? So the price I'm okay with. I think $50 for a camera, probably about as cheap as they could make a you know what I'm trying to say. What I do like about
Priority?
this, before you get too ahead of yourself, is apparently you can plug in almost any USB webcam. So if you just want to use like a Logitech webcam, you don't actually have to buy the Nintendo Switch one. Now that actually counteracts this whole Nintendo are being really weird about money thing, because they didn't have to do that. They didn't really have to allow any plug-in webcam to work, but apparently it can, and you can just not buy Nintendo's one. Or you can buy Nintendo's one. It comes on a nice stand. It will probably sit perfectly where you need it to sit, and it's probably more convenient. But sure, once you add up a lot of this stuff, the new game prices, the console prices, the accessories, it's adding up. I mean, new consoles always add up. Wait a second. I just realized something, and I realized it because I was watching Scootish's stream, and he said it, and it made me think about it. The C button is for the chat app, but the chat app costs money. It's free initially. If you press the button and you can get into a chat with friends, it's free initially until like March next year. But then after that, you have to pay. The Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that the C button is for entering the new game chat that they're putting in, but then you're gonna need an online subscription in order to even use the C button to get into the game chat. I can't use this button on my controller. I have to pay for it. Almost every time if you want to buy a game new, it's almost $90 Canadian. Oh yeah, we've already been, like here in Canada, we've already been paying $90 per game. Now we'll pay even more, I guess, if it goes up because of stupid inflation. The design of the Joy-Cons concern me. I don't believe the previous gen Joy-Cons will be usable. Probably not. They haven't mentioned any backwards compatibility with like Joy-Cons. Might be possible. Maybe they just haven't announced it yet. I would be kind of surprised if you would be able to do that. But these ones connect magnetically. How much per month is Nintendo Online? I don't know, actually. I'm on my cousin's family plan. But I can look it up quickly. We've fallen so far from the Wii days when I could play Monster Hunter Online. Probably for free. Yeah. I can't wait for the Press A to Jump DLC. Press A to jump. You have to pay $1 a month if you want to be able to do that on your controller. Basically no voice chat if you're online in a party. So from my understanding, what he just said is that you'll have access to the game chat. Oh, sorry, Slasher. My brain is functioning now. I understand your question. Yeah, I guess if you're playing online, after March 31st, 2026, unless you're paying for the online subscription, you won't be able to join the voice chat. You would have to voice chat through like Discord, for example, instead. Because you won't be able to use the Nintendo game chat. That's nothing new. Xbox has charged money for live so you can talk to friends and chat for you. That's true. That is true. I hated that. And PS5 has the stupid subscription per year as well. Or I think you can pay monthly, but whatever. They have an online freaking subscription. It's dumb. Basically, the only thing backwards compatible besides games is the GameCube controller adapter. Oh my god! They're gonna freaking have Pokemon XD and Pokemon Coliseum. I want to play those again. Quite sure the online multiplayer back in the Wii days was for free. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember being just able to play online for free a lot back then. Now you have to pay. Now you have to pay. Remember when multiplayer online used to be free? Yup. Yep, those were the days. Those were the days. That's for sure.
You have to pay to use the game chat, which means
Yes.
the C button won't work. You'll have a whole button on your controller that won't work unless you pay. Wait a second. That
Wow.
I'm filming this after I made the whole video. I've already
C
ended
for
the
credit
video.
card.
That one's kind of intense. I don't know how I feel about that. I can't think of another time there's been a physical button on a controller or a console that if you pressed it, it just straight up wouldn't work if you didn't pay.
If you
That's a lot.
If you press the C button and you don't have a subscription, you just press the C button and it automatically brings you to their subscription pay. And is like, in order to use the game chat, please sign up.
That's a lot to take in. And as Wolfden, my friend Bob, said in Scoot's chat just now, so the C actually means credit card. Who would have known that when you press the C button, it stands for credit card? This
Credit
should
card,
be baked
please.
in. This should be part of it, right? I feel like if this is the new gimmick, if the whole like wacky camera and watching what your friends are playing and streaming, if this is like the whole new big gimmick on the software side,
Oh my god.
and you're charging us for that, I actually can't even remember the Nintendo ever charging us for a gimmick. Look, everything else after this I filmed before. That's kind of crazy. Finally, a lot of people have pointed out or said that the physical for Mario Kart World is $90, and I think that is just straight up misinformation. There was a European site that listed it as $90, but as far as anyone can actually tell, there's no, at least in America, there's no retailer that's listed Mario Kart World for $90, and I have no
only
real
seen
reason to
$79.99.
believe or think that the physical would be $10 more than the base. Let's summarize my opinions here, and then I would love to hear yours. $400 for the Switch 2 would have been an incredible steal price. But even still, $450,
it's not bad.
while it is reaching out there and is gonna seem pretty high for Nintendo consumers that are used to cheaper consoles and prices, I think what they're offering and for that base console experience is worth the price. Before we start talking about anything else in games, I still think the $450 is justifiable. Mario Kart
do
World
too.
being
I
80
think
is
that's fine.
insane unless they can justify it and it's a one-off. There needs to be something about this game that they've got planned to explain to us about why it's 80, like extra DLC. The pack-in game thing, that's not a pack-in game, just make that free. I don't know what you're doing. I hope it's at least free for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. I actually am thinking of that now. I haven't read into that. That better be the case. I don't know why anyone would pay for this. Enhanced editions costing more makes sense if they're adding in DLC and extra content, and I like that there are some games that are getting free updates. And then all the accessories are being expensive. Accessories are always expensive.
Yeah,
they all seem
yeah,
par
they're
for the
always
course for me.
expensive.
You just got to pick and choose the ones you want. And when it comes to getting grips and cases, maybe wait a few days. I do think, though, regardless of how much I sit here and try and explain my opinion on it and how I feel about it and whether or not some of it is justified, the reality is it's all more expensive. And I think that that's going to have a visual reaction, an immediate reaction to consumers and how this console will sell. I think it would have sold a lot better if they could have kept it at $400. And I can't believe there's a $500 bundle. I mean, even though it's a bundle and it adds a game, it's making me think there's a $500 Switch version, and that just seems insane. So I think perception is going to be key here, and I hope people perceive it the right way, but I think it's going to sour a lot of people, and hopefully once this thing releases and everyone sees how good it is, hopefully, and that it's worth it, that perception will change, but this is definitely a hurdle that Nintendo are going to have to get over. Seeming as like I'm some weird spokesperson for Nintendo when I don't even work for Nintendo, and we're about to spend 2 years with this thing, I wanted to give my thoughts on this and clarify my opinion on it, but I'd love to know yours. I think I've talked way too much today. I'm losing my voice. I just really wanted to get these thoughts out there, and I'd love to know yours. Like, comment, subscribe.
Subscribe. I think like 400, 450, maybe 500 for the console is fine. But like the game prices are just crazy. I got the Ring Fit bundle for $50 at a Target. Oh my god, the Ring Fit is so good. I haven't played that in so long. Oh my gosh. I should. It was great. It was actually like a really good workout. I like doing the dancing stuff on it. Nintendo's still trying to rob us. Yup. Yup. The game prices are crazy. As much as I sit here and say, oh, in Canada we've already been paying $90 for games. It's not, I guess it's technically not the same because of currency differences. I don't know, maybe it is the same. We've been paying $90 here for a long ass time, and it's insane. That's why I don't really get new games as often anymore, because it's like $100, man. $100. That's not a small amount of money. The dance mode in Ring Fit was so great. Yes, yes. I love it.